We're waiting for the start of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees meeting on November 12th. And we're just waiting for the Zoom room to open up here, the waiting room.
Perfect, look at that.
Forever okay from here.
Tim Jorgensen, Chair.
Kelly Jensen, present.
All right, we're good. Hit it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 12th meeting of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees. We've just returned from closed session, and we will reconvene our meeting at 7:34 p.m. Brandon, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Of course. Everybody rise. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll read the district's civility statement. When conducting the district's business, we will communicate clearly and concisely with respect for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the effort of others who have served in the past. We have several public comments. Do we know if these are for a specific, it appears that some are for in support or other of the charters this evening? So we'll leave those. Okay, I have one here that I'm not sure about. Is there a Sarah Tate out there?
Yes, hello, good evening.
Sarah Tate, do you wish to comment on an item that is not on the agenda?
No, I'm going to be talking in support of the charter school, so is that
Thank you, we'll be back to you shortly then. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go to correspondence, proposal, and reports. Correspondence, proposals, and reports. AATA representative.
Good evening, everybody. Just a hello, how are you? Hope everybody's fine. Not too much to comment on this evening. We're all a little tired. We're looking forward to Thanksgiving break. Many of our scholars are putting their head down and putting their thinking to work. And they're also looking for a break, I'm sure. So hopefully that comes soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Do we have anything from the CSEA rep? Nothing? Student representative to the board. We seem to be flying right along. Superintendent Gold Standard report. Is he here? There he is. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was muted. I am here, and we did have fundraisers in Vasquez High School. The class of 2021 had a fundraiser at Perking Up. Class of 2023 had one at Pizza Factory. Class of 2021 is actually holding one right now online with C's Candies. They have a code for that, and those all went really well. I attended Perking Up. I was not able to make it to the Pizza Factory fundraiser. However, I heard it went splendid. And just a message from the students. Thank you all so much for getting us back into sports and keeping us there. It is it's a highlight of my day for sure. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, young man. All you, Mr. King. Okay, well, good evening, everybody. I have a few things to share regarding COVID, a couple things there, and then I'm going to talk a bit about charter business and our fiscal position. So the first thing is with regard to the COVID update, we had our weekly call this morning with the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, as well as the Los Angeles County Office of Education, hosted by Dr. Farrar from the County Department of Public Health and Dr. Deborah Eduardo from County Office of Education. And I do want to thank them. They've been really good about communicating with us on an ongoing basis, and the support has been helpful to be kept in the loop ongoing since March. What they shared this morning was they really didn't give any specific metrics except to say that the numbers are going up. They do not see anything happening in the next 4 weeks, which I think I shared at the last board meeting. I didn't anticipate there being anything changing prior to the start of our second semester at best, but we'll see what happens. A lot of it depends on, according to the Department of Public Health, how we continue to do the things that we've all heard about and read everywhere in terms of public health guidelines. Wearing a mask, maintaining social distancing, not going to large parties or large crowds, those sorts of things. So they're really encouraging everybody to continue to be mindful of those things. And Dr. Farrar said that's the only way we're going to, kind of see our way past and through this. So we'll see what things transpire, how things transpire in the next few weeks. I want to discuss a little bit the preview of our next board meeting. So we have a special board meeting scheduled for next Thursday, November 19th. As you probably recall from our last board meeting, I briefly commented on our budget as it relates to the charter organizations that we authorize. Specifically, the district has become in a lawsuit related to Valiant Charter Academy. Valiant Charter Academy was previously under the name Mosaica. So just a bit of a history there. On February 16, 2017, a letter was sent from our district to Justin Schmidt, who's associated with Valiant Charter Academy, making the charter aware that the name change needed to be submitted as a material revision to the Acton School District Board, which was done on May 11, 2017. A material revision was approved by the board that included the name change Mosaica to Valiant. I was hired by the Board of Education on or about September 24th, 2017. So not only was I a change to the school district culture and climate and governance, but the board has had a substantial change in its the constitution or makeup of the board itself. At our special board meeting next week, I'll be sharing with the board the anticipated fiscal impact of this particular legal action. I've already made a point to reach out to Los Angeles County Fiscal Director, Jeffrey Young, and also to the Chief Business Official, Hoyt Lee. Both of them have been extremely supportive of our district in the past several years, as we are not one of the districts they have to be concerned with in terms of not being transparent, not being forthright, and not being honest about our fiscal position. And because our fiscal position we do anticipate quite a change. We've again asked them to support us through this transition as we prepare for our first interim report, which will inevitably reflect this fiscal position. There is a personal item on the personal action report this evening. I'd like to recommend, Mr. President, that we pull that particular item when we get to the consent agenda, if the board would be so pleased. We're certain that our fee structure in relation to charter, organization, and oversight will need to reflect our actual costs, which will significantly impact our finances. And again, for anybody interested, as well as our board, I'll be providing the particulars of that on Thursday, November 19th at this special board meeting. I'm confident that we'll get through this fiscal challenge. I'm certain that whatever challenges we're up against, that we'll go through those. We'll do our due diligence, and we'll provide the board with the needed information to deal with this challenge. And I look forward to sharing a detailed report with the board again on November 19th through a board study budget workshop. Our focus since I've been superintendent has to take a fiscally a very conservative approach to our finances. Because of that focus, and because of the board's support of that focus, we've been able to be in a position for this. We've been anticipating this for quite some time. And so I want to thank the board for their support in this regard. On a broader scale, the case that we're involved with, in all likelihood, will define charter oversight fees and the fee structure for school districts throughout the state of California. That is yet to be determined, but in all likelihood, that is inevitable. At our first interim report, which must be adopted by the board no later than December 15th each year, again, will reflect how this plays out in terms of the financial piece. We'll bring forward our report to the board at our regular meeting on December 10th, which will include the assumptions that will be outlined and presented to the board on December 10th. So with that, I will go to my facilities piece. That concludes my report regarding charter business and fiscal. In regards to facilities, not a lot new. I want to thank Ernesto Moore, who's continually making sure that our sites are being kept clean, sterile, and ready for our employees to come to work. At Acton campus, we have the pending restoration of 2 rooms, which will occupy Nicole Chun in one of them, and our tech service folks, Cesar Ortiz and Alejandro Hordosia. So we look forward to that. They'll be closer to the central office, which will be nice to be able to work together as a team. And that means that the backbone of our infrastructure and all the technical pieces that those 2 gentlemen take care of to keep our district functioning with proper bandwidth and so on, that piece will be right next door to the instructional side of the house with Nicole Chun. And that's the first time that's really happened as far as I know. And those departments being right next door to business, superintendent's office, educational services, I think that's going to be just a nice benefit to working efficiently as an organization. At High Desert, nothing pending at this time. Vasquez High School, nothing pending. Meadowlark, we had a water main break this morning. It was taken care of. Again, I want to thank Mr. Moore for being on top of that. And all the disinfecting and sanitizing continues to be in place. So those are all good things going on with our facilities. At this time, I'd like to turn it over briefly to Kim Shaw to introduce our new principal at Meadowlark Elementary School. We have a picture of, I think maybe go back one slide. I'm not sure if it's back or forward. There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. King. Good evening, President Falsgraf and fellow board members. I'd like to introduce our new principal of Meadowlark School, Paula Saavedra. She began her teaching career in the Glendale Unified School District in 1997 as a dual immersion Spanish teacher. And over the years, she's been a teacher specialist and an assistant principal. In her most recent position, she was afforded the opportunity to be the administrator in charge of special education, 504s, the English language development, the English department, ASB, master scheduling, and coordinating academic. She's trained in PBS, which stands for Positive Behavior Interventions and Support, and Illuminate. In fact, she attended the LACO PBIS training with her site staff today. So please join me in welcoming Paula Saavedra to our Acton Agua Dulce family. Paula? I don't know if she's on. I think she's on here. I don't know if she can be unmuted to say a few words.
We will look for her. I think we can do that.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Good evening, board members. Good evening, Superintendent King and guests. I'm Paula Saavedra, and I'm very excited to be joining the Acton Agua Dulce School District, and I'm very excited to be at Meadowlark. I've met a lot of wonderful staff members and some students and families already, so I am very much looking forward to being a productive part of the community and hopefully helping some great things happen at Meadowlark and within the Acton Agua Dulce School District. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. King. I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw, for bringing Ms. Saavedra on board, facilitating the onboarding process, and we appreciate hearing from you tonight, Ms. Saavedra. Probably one of the best office decorations I've ever seen, I think, is I was over there yesterday or Tuesday, and you cannot feel sad in that office. Okay, so Small School District Association trustees, I just want to inform you that there's some trainings coming up that I'm going to be forwarding to President Falsgraf. I'll let you know when those are. The topics are building and strengthening your governance team. They're going to talk about the 11 commandments to better understand your role in building your team. So you want to be a board member, question mark. Perils and pitfalls to avoid Brown Acts, Form 700, conflict of interest, public records request, misuse of public funds, running a legal and effective board meeting, and a board member's holy grail, the governance handbook. So I'll forward this to you, Mr. Falsgraf, and then we can share with our trustees if you like, and see if there's any interest in that. Next, just before the video, the next thing I'd like to share is just a personal gratitude for not just anybody who is a service member of our military armed forces, but also the spouses. I know when I served during Desert Storm, I was newly married to my wife Timmy, and I think sometimes we forget it's can be just as difficult, if not more so, on the spouses. And so I just want to thank all those folks and share my gratitude for their service to our country. And with that, I'd like to share a video with you on the October 30th, Professional Development Day. It's October.
Here, and some of you may recognize me as the holographic doctor from Star Trek Voyager. I was the very face, an embodiment of everything we know about medicine in the 24th century. Which does beg the question, I suppose, whatever happened to Rogaine? Well, that aside, it is my distinct pleasure to offer congratulations on this very ambitious program that the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Professional Development Council has embarked on. Congratulations come from me and, of course, from Lawrence King. I understand that you have put together a tremendous day for your teachers known as Techtober 30th, in which you will go boldly and engage. You will be learning from your colleagues how to increase the use of technology in the classroom. How great that is. Now, I'm speaking to you, of course, from the 24th century, although I'm on an M-class planet dressed casually undercover. But I have read quite a bit about the 21st century. I remember there was this pandemic or something, and then suddenly teachers were forced to teach remotely via some primitive thing I think you called the internet. wonderful Techtober 30th, and know that you have the admiration and respect of the future of medical technology.
So that concludes my report. I do want to thank Nicole Chun for putting that video together. The thank yous and the names, if you caught those, and the credits were, really understated. It's without being there on the in-service day, it's difficult to put it into a slideshow, into words, but this was truly one of the most meaningful, engaging in-services that certainly I've seen in the past 3.5 years. And credit goes where credit's due. So the teachers and administrators and Ms. Shaw putting that all together, fabulous, engaging day. And you did go bold and you were courageous. So great job to that team. Thank you. And that concludes my report. Thank you. Next item, are there submissions? There are none tonight. All right, we'll move on to item 7, board member comments. Let's start with you, Mr. Fox.
Good evening. Well, I think the timing of the in-service was certainly appropriate given how we're delivering instruction these days. Mr. King, I did have a question. I'm certainly aware of the rate, the direction that the COVID cases are going. It's not looking good. It's getting worse. Notwithstanding that, we had mentioned maybe looking into when might be the right time to talk about the younger kids and the special needs kids possibly coming back to school. And you alluded to maybe we were starting to look into it a couple weeks ago. Is there, do we have a feeling of that? I know there's a ton going on between some of the fiscal challenges that we're going to talk about in a week, and a lot of staffing changes. But is there any word on when we think we might engage in that direction? Even though I get it, the numbers are going the wrong way.
Sure. So we are engaged in those discussions right now, primarily with our Teachers Association. So that is something that we're discussing in terms of transitional kindergarten through 2nd grade being one of our first priorities. Students with unique needs and particular needs being a first priority. So we're looking particularly at those 2 groups. And in order, students with particular needs and unique needs, bringing those students back initially. And there's a 25% of your student population criteria that we're also in discussions with our teachers on as well. So in the TK through 6th grade level, you're able to bring back a limited number of students, but we want to make sure to work all that out and have everybody on board before jumping into that.
Okay, thanks. I mean, I certainly wasn't personally a proponent of anything broader given the direction of the case numbers and everything. It's just those younger students that, at least I envision, technology is even a bigger challenge at those younger ages and those children with special needs.
Correct. Is that it, Mike?
Yeah, when might we hear anything about that? I mean, are we talking a month out or early part of the year?
Well, yeah, I think in the next couple of weeks, if we need a little bit of time to work at the negotiating table. And so I think we'll hear something potentially on November 19th. But I don't want to appear to be pressuring either group or, discussing away from the table. And so as soon as we're ready, including, but not limited to calling a special board meeting if need be, we will bring that to the board, absolutely.
Okay. And once again, I'm not strongly advocating. I'm curious what we think is the appropriate thing to do. And I understand that you're being careful with your words because because we are discussing with the teachers. I understand, but perhaps in a few weeks we might have the discussion. So.
Yes, yeah, and we'll continue to keep you informed through our board updates. Brandon.
Hi everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. First off, over the weekend I had a chance to attend the fundraiser for the class of 2023, which was awesome. Unfortunately, it caught me on a day where I already had a previous dinner thing. Otherwise, I was really looking forward to grabbing some pizza. But I'm really happy to hear that some of our classes are doing fundraisers, looking towards the future and being able to get things going and actually have plans for their classes. Obviously, with COVID still being a little up in the air, it's very difficult for those classes in the ASB to plan. So I'm really proud of them for everything they're doing and the fact that they have that on the books. Beyond that, still super excited to see that our sports are still going. I'm a little sad about the, obviously the uptick in COVID cases in LA County, but I'm hoping that kind of starts to level off and hopefully within the next 6 months or so, we're gonna start seeing more in-person meetings, more in-person classes, things going back into full swing and things getting back to normal. Beyond that, I really don't have a lot on my end. I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy.
Coach Jorgensen.
Good evening, everybody. First, I want to welcome Mrs. Saavedra to the Acton Agua Dulce family. You're going to be entering a school that is well above and beyond most elementary schools around, and so we look forward to the contribution that you can make. I did attend the pizza fundraiser, and it was very good. I had met some of the students there. We were all smiling under our masks, so I was glad to see everybody was participating, and it turned out to be a pretty good fundraiser. Don't have anything much else to talk about, but I know that we're all going to be heading into the break that Ms. Trussell referred to, the Thanksgiving holiday break. I want to make sure that I suggest and implore everyone to make sure that they make good and wise decisions. Stay safe with your families so that when we come back that we can finish up the school year with everybody present. With that, just wish everybody to stay safe and be well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Kelly.
Well, first of all, I'd like to also welcome Mrs. Sabeda to the Acton Agua Dulce School District. I'm excited that she has some experience in PBIS as well, and also has experience in the current curriculum, the language art adoption that the curriculum that we currently use. So hopefully that'll be just an easy transition for you, Mrs. Saavedra. Also, wow, I loved the video. For those of you who have not planned professional development, that was amazing. And to often be in professional learning during this time, during distance learning, it is very difficult to engage people and to, many of us suffer from Zoom fatigue. So that was absolutely amazing, well planned. I did see the agenda before, I didn't see the video, but I saw the agenda and all the activities that were planned. So a big shout out to the crew. What a great job you guys have done. And I hope the teachers really got a lot out of it. So no one likes to waste their time. So it's always great to have learning that is meaningful and relevant. So good job on that. I'd like to just say a belated Happy Veterans Day to all of our vets. I don't think I did that last time, so I'd just like to say that. And I'm very excited for the tech room that Larry King talked about earlier. I did go to the district office for a little visit a while back, and we could see the room that was being prepared. It's really important to have your team together, and collaboration is very important. So that was really exciting as well. So great things are happening, and a big shout out to all of our teachers and all of our classified staff who do so much every day, and to our students. Hopefully these numbers will start going down and we can, one day be back to normal, whatever that looks like. So with that, just have a great evening, everyone, and I'll see everyone next week when we get back together.
Thank you, Kelly. Let's start off my comments by, I'll join my fellow board members in welcoming our new Metal Art principal, I know that some of Kelly's educational initiatives that are important to her were just discussed, and I'm happy about that. And I'll also join them in giving thanks to our vets who keep us able to conduct democratic processes. Let's start off with good things first. Board members, you'll remember we were approached by a young man named Aiden Vidic about using the school district's logo to kind of welcome, to include different aspects of the community in his welcome to Acton signs as an Eagle Scout project. He's reported back to us with the following. We'd like to thank you for providing the logo for the school district to be included in the welcome to Acton signs I have built as my Eagle Scout project. The county will be preparing the logos and will install them when they install the signs. The 3 signs are now finished. I will be giving them to Public Works, that's Los Angeles County Public Works, next week for installation when they are able. I have included a picture of one of the signs in this letter. With your assistance and support, my Eagle Scout project turned out wonderfully, and for that I thank you. Sincerely, Aiden Vidic. Good job, young man. Mm-hmm. Happy to support you. Next, mm-hmm. I received a nice thank you note from the class of 2023. I went down and got some pizza, which my stomach says I didn't need, but it was great. And what was really great was we fall into this lull of this COVID thing and kind of get business and, you know, when are we going to do this? And when is the negotiation going to enable us to do that, or whatever's we're doing? And it was very refreshing to me to see the class of 2023 is actively engaged in a number of ways, and your energy is very renewing. And get out there and talk to people. From the beginning, I received an email that said we're going to be there, how important it was that I was there. I like guilt. My third mother-in-law used to use that one on me. Guys, you did a wonderful job there, and I was happy to attend, and I have great hopes for you. Share your energy with the other classes, please. What else do I have received from the Los Angeles County Office of Education a letter dated October 30th, 2020. It reminds us that Governor Newsom in June of this year eliminated the requirement for local education agencies to adopt a local control and accountability plan, or the LCAP that we all talk about every year, and instead, during the COVID situation, adopt a learning continuity plan. That was submitted by the district to LACO, our oversight agency. They responded back with a number of recommendations, including distance learning program section, pupil learning loss section, action tables, and improved services section. Now, these are recommendations. The district, or LACO, respects local control, meaning they know and stay in their lane when it comes to the school board and the local parents through input through their elected school board to run their district. And in the event that the staff in the district decides to look at some of those recommendations, those will appear in front of the board before they're sent into LACO as an update, but there's nothing egregious in here that I read. You will notice that LACO provides that to the board president. CECs it to a bunch of people in the district, but their idea is to make sure that the people who are elected to represent the students in the community and their parents are fully aware of what's going on. So let's talk a little bit about some of the questions we're dancing around. There are 3 aspects to returning to school. You received a phone call. There was no Soviet Union behind the survey. It was, will you plan on attending, sending your child back to a school environment in which people are required to wear masks all the time, stay 6 feet away from each other, and operate in cohorts? Now, in my experience, at any other time, cohorts are looked as a bad thing, because you tend to end up with all the Fallsgraph-like kids in one group over there wearing their suits that signify them as a problem, and then you've got the smart kids and the other kids. However we group people, I think we've gotten away from grouping people. So cohorts to me kind of smells of something fishy. I know that there are some people, I won't get into any detail here, but some people are not capable of wearing a mask or understanding social distancing. I think that to hopefully call out for those people to return to school first is kind of putting people in the spotlight that maybe don't want to be in the spotlight. So we always want to remember that. I've dealt with that as delicately as I can. Also, some of the people that tend to be discounted the most, being given the opportunity first, can create some tension, and the idea that some kids have promise while others do not, and then athletics ends up into the discussion, all those types of things. So I want to remind everyone that in order for any of this to happen, parents are responsive. They ask you, will you send your child in? That's a personal decision. And maybe your child is not capable of doing that, or maybe they are. The next obvious question then is, if X number of people are going to come back and participate, then we need to change our facility plan, and we need to prep for that. The second question in the survey was, if you are going to return, do you plan on requiring transportation? Because again, there are some logistical things that go on there. Director of transportation, people like that have to make sure that people aren't sitting too close together, and there are all kinds of rules that go with that. So if you're one of the people that participated in the survey, thank you very much. It informs your school district personnel on what to plan for. The final piece is, as always, and we've seen this before, I've had this hit me before, and in my mind, sooner is better, but the community needs to understand there has to be MOUs in place, and when those negotiations are taking place, then nothing is final. So answer the survey, that's what you can do, and then wait for the MOUs to finally come together, whenever that will be. I appreciate your question about that, Board Member Fox. A little bit about this case. I keep telling everybody the number, 266-439. That's the losing number. Larry danced on most of my comments for this, but here's the bottom line. I was out in the audience in 2013 when this came together, and if you dig enough, you'll find me there. The May 17th date, 2017, if you were able to find that movie, which is 3.5 years old, you might think that I'm probably good at predicting horse races and stuff, which I'm not, but I did pretty good to predict what was going to happen then. What Larry is telling you is very clear. There are going to be budgetary impacts. We are going to discuss what we know about that and what we can discuss. Remember, I was pointing back there, and sometimes when you get on the board, you all of a sudden figure out, man, some of that stuff I've been talking about in the election, ooh, I don't guess you can do that. Anyway, that said, there is going to be a court decision, and it's going to impact the way charters run and how they're funded, and what the authorizer can charge in terms of for what, and whether or not it's for profit or not. So I applaud staff for wanting to have this special meeting where we can discuss the thing openly. And I also applaud staff that they would make LACO, the oversight agency, aware of what the budget situation is going to be in the worst case scenario. So LACO can respond when that budget is proposed to them in December. They can respond back with their recommendations, some of their concerns, especially what it looks like in year 3. So stay tuned for that. The big message tonight is, kids, Eagle Scout, the ones that are out there making this happen, that's what this is really all about, and let's keep that in mind. Thank you, Larry. Let's move on. Okay. So we're going to move to the consent agenda, unless something is pulled.
Yeah, I've made that one comment. If the board would
if it please the board, we could pull the personnel action report. Before we move this in, board members, is there anything you want to pull out of this for discussion? Hearing nothing out as proposed by Superintendent King, do I have a motion to move in the consent agenda?
Ms. Brainerd, okay, so moved.
This is Kelly Jensen, second.
All right. So short of the personnel report, we are going to call the question minutes of the board meeting of 10/22, the warrant register. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. No, that is it. Do I have a motion to approve those items of the consent agenda?
This is Kelly, so moved.
Brainerd, okay, second.
Call the question on approval of consent agenda items, minutes of the virtual board meeting of 10/22 and the warrant register. Call the question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brainerd, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4 ayes, board president aye, 5-0. Those items are approved. Larry, please lead us in the discussion of the personnel report.
Okay, so as I stated earlier, we have a addendum to the personnel action report. So I'm just going to pull that up. How it reads as amended is the board can see this because it's in their executive packet, but because it was less than 72 hours prior to going public, we couldn't post it to the public. So for public edification, we have added under resignation certificate employee, Lynn David, Deputy Superintendent Business Services, effective date November 30th, 2020. The second one is resignation of classified employee, Sage Vincent, maintenance custodial groundskeeper, High Desert, effective date November 13th, which is tomorrow. So coming back to Ms. David, I just wanted to make sure the board had an opportunity to comment, and I'll just comment that she's been a great asset to the district over the past few years. Shortly after I joined the district, the board had approved my recommendation to make her assistant superintendent of business, and so I wish Ms. David all the best. Wish her well in her future endeavors as she goes on to a district not too far from us, down by the coast though, and I know she's always wanted to be in that geographical area. And just a little comment on Sage. Sage is a former student from the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District. He has many skills, one of which is welding. And so he is going on to go towards his passion in welding, and as I understand it, he's going to be doing that for one of the studios. So I also want to wish Mr. Sage Vincent all the best. He has been nothing but a pleasure to work with whenever I've seen him on campus, and always working hard.
Board members, any comments on that item?
Yes. This is Mike Fox, and Lynn, I think you're out there. Thank you for your service to the district over the years, starting as principal over at High Desert. And, you know, your skills with running the business of the district, I very much appreciate, because I remember when we weren't run so smoothly from a business standpoint. So you will be missed, and I wish you all the best. And for Sage as well, I haven't worked that much with Sage, of course, because he doesn't usually report to the superintendent and to the board. But on every occasion where I've ever been on a campus and Sage has been there, he's been a terrific help. So best of luck to him as well.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I would love to. Lynn, I just want to say thank you again. Honestly, being a CBO and working in finance in the district's business is no small feat, especially as I'm sure all our board members and pretty much anyone in the audience can attest. Trying to read those numbers is definitely something that'll lose some hair if you don't know what you're reading. So I can't thank you enough for all the help you've done with the district, keeping us solvent, keeping a strong reserve, and just being able to explain everything when it comes to our finances. That's something that is so hard to find. Someone that can actually explain it eloquently enough that everyone can get it. So truly, thank you. Thank you for always being there for me and for giving me advice when I needed it. I can't thank you enough. I wish you all the best in Moore Park, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hi, Lynn. Tim Jorgensen. I want to express my appreciation for your hard work. It goes back, my mother did that for several years with districts, helping them out with their budgets and their reporting and their income reports. You've done an excellent job for us here to give it to us in a form that we can understand and make some solid decisions on. So I thank you for that, and I wish you the best as you go on to Moore Park. With regards to Sage, I had him as a student, and he did some welding on my tractor. He's a hard worker, and he's an excellent welder. All the best, Sage.
My turn. Well, Mr. Vincent, thank you so much for your service as well. I don't think a lot of times that our classified staff gets the recognition that they deserve for all their hard work. So I'd like to thank you for that. And best wishes to your new position. And to Lynn David, thank you so much for everything. You've done a great job keeping us solvent and keeping us well informed. I hope whoever eventually gets this position down the road can give us PowerPoints with those pots of gold that are easy to understand and explains everything so well. Some of the best and easiest presentations to understand, Lynn, so I thank you for that. Just all the stuff that you do, all of the business side of it, all the facilities and all the food services, especially in this time when budgets are kind of lean and lots of things happening with facilities and food services during this time, especially with COVID. I want to thank you for that and just keeping us well informed and solvent and everything well done. So best of luck to you, Lynn. We're going to sure miss you.
Thank you, Kelly. Lynn, I'll tell you this, you're a multifaceted person. I don't know that everyone knows this, but Lynn serves as an instructor in the USC program. Anybody know USC? And so she develops people going into, I mean, you don't walk out of USC and become, I won't even go there because the examples that I would use are whatever. Anyway, you give the district, you've always given the district a great deal of credibility just in the way you conduct yourself and what you're involved in outside of your limb. Your conservative approach towards financing right now, at the worst possible time, your approach has made it to where it's the best it can be at the worst possible time. Everybody just looks at Lynn about, well, you know, she runs the money and tells you no. They invented copper wire by Lynn and I fighting over a penny, just so everyone knows that. But Lynn has also developed the maintenance and facility staff and gave us a much better idea of what that looks like, how it's measurable. So when we see these presentations up here about what the campuses look like, what the projects look like over the summer, I think some staff in this district have grown immensely because they've been empowered by you letting them grow immensely, Lynn. I think one of the things that's most important to me is this district has gone through some legal challenges. There's been makeup in the chain, in the board, who sits up here, how they look at certain things. And I think, again, your professional opinion, your professional reputation, which you came here with, and the way you participated in some of the challenges of dealing with state auditor, court people, district attorneys. You kept the district in a position of respectability. And that is what I will most remember you for at this very difficult time. They did not call me at your new employer because I would have trashed you, they would have not hired you, and I would have kept you, Lynn, and that's the best compliment I can give you. Thank you. And Mr. Sage, you come out of my business and I look for people moving. You can't depend on the wind to rake your leaves because it never puts it in the right place. And young man, I appreciate you being busy all the time. I appreciate you being decent with the public and positive at all times. And I know you're going to do well out there. And again, no one called me for your recommendation. I would have signed you along with Lynn, and I would be retaining you as well. And that's the best compliment I can give you. Thank you. So with that said, we will do I have a move to approve the personnel action report.
This is Kelly Johnson, so moved.
Brandon Roque, second.
Call the question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brandon, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly.
Sorry about that. Kelly Johnson, aye.
Board 4 ayes, board president aye. The personnel action report portion of the consent calendar passes 5-0. Catch up here. Moving on, personnel and human resources. Item A, memorandum of understanding with the Acton Agua Dulce Teachers Association. Larry.
Okay, so what we have here is an addendum to the MOU that's already existing. And so kind of to some of the discussion that Mr. Fox and you were having earlier, each one of these pieces is going to be brought to the board separately. So our first priority is in terms to our students with unique needs. And the first piece of that is to ensure that we can assess them in a way that's most appropriate. And so this addendum specifically has to do with the need for students to be assessed for their individualized education plan. The other piece that you'll see that goes along with that is the arrival process. And so that's the other piece of that goes along with it. You can see that there's 16 steps to that process, and the practices having to do with COVID-19 and how they're screened and temperatures taken and that sort of thing. So Ms. Shaw is on the line if the board has any further questions.
I'm thinking that the best thing that we could do for everyone to understand what this is to tell us what specifically we are asking for approval for tonight, and whether or not this opens the door that says we are ready to go back if and when. I think that's the looming question. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you are on the spot.
So the recommendation is that the board approve the MOU between the Acton Agua Dulce Unified Teacher Association and the school district.
Okay.
Once this is approved, it will go into effect immediately.
Okay, and this document was made public on Monday evening, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Board, do you have questions about this, please?
This is Mike. No questions. It was self-explanatory. It's just the processes and procedures for students coming on campus for whatever they might need to.
Ms. Brandon, I have no questions. I'm just glad we're looking at doing this to pursue testing and getting our students back.
Tim, none.
Kelly, I don't have any questions, but I'm happy to see that the arrival protocols are listed here tonight. So thank you for doing that.
Wonderful. Call to question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brandon Roque, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4 ayes, Board President aye, 5-0. The board has just approved the addendum to the MOU for re-entry and arrival protocols. Moving on, item B.
Association and the district.
Board, any comments or questions?
No, this is Mike. No comments.
This is Brandon, nothing on my end.
Tim has none.
Kelly, no questions.
Call the question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brandon Roque, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4 ayes, Board President aye, 5-0. The board has just approved the memorandum of understanding about the coronavirus response with the California School Employees Association. Moving on, item C, music aid job description amended. Larry.
Okay, so
I'll move it in. Don't we have to move it in, Mr. President?
I believe you just did that. I think I'm missing the move-in part. Somebody's got to babysit me better.
I'll second this, Brandon.
Wonderful. Moving along. Music aid job description amended. Larry.
okay, so you may recall in the part earlier this evening, you approved 2 folks that have been hired with the district now. We have a music lead and a music aide. The one thing we wanted to clarify in this job description is you'll see in bold where it says under the direction of the music lead. So we just wanted to clarify, and so did CSCA, that the aide, will work under the direction of the music lead.
Wonderful. Board, any comments?
Yeah, I do have a question. So I understand this is just a job description, a pair of job descriptions, I believe. Mr. King, are the positions mostly funded by ASMO?
So, great question. So both job descriptions were previously approved, and you're just approving the amended one for the music aid. And we just wanted to distinguish between supervision and direction.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Making that clear.
And your funding question, ASMO 100% reimburses the district essentially for the entire funding of the music lead. And as for the past several years, the district has been able to compensate for the music aid.
Excellent. Thank you, ASMO.
Anyone else? My comment is that I think that there have been some confusions and boundaries taken care of and addressed by these job descriptions and determining whose direction these people are at, considering they're actually in a public school and are interacting with the students of the district. That said, call to question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brandon Roque, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4 ayes, Board President aye, 5-0. We've just approved the job description for the music aid. Going on to business services. This is an action item, and it is resolution 20-21.05, recommending approval of Assurance Learning Academy Charter School petition for a material revision. Mr. Fox, would you like to move this in?
I'll move this in.
Wonderful. Second, please.
Kelly Jensen, I'll second.
All right, it's my understanding that this is a result of a public hearing that we heard before. There were many questions, and most of them about WIOA partnerships and those types of things, and compliance with 1505 to 1507 assembly bills, and also legal assurances. Is that accurate, Mr. King?
Yeah, absolutely, that is accurate.
Okay, so are there any final questions by the board before we move this along?
Mike Fox has none.
None from me.
Tim, none.
This is Kelly. I've read it and I don't have any questions.
Okay, before I call the question one more time, this has been through a public hearing. The public hearing occurred more than 14 days apart from this vote. Assurance Learning Academy was asked many questions about compliances with recent assembly bills, their WIOA partnerships, the locations of their campuses, and what the legal status of this is. That said, call to question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brian Roque, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4 ayes, Board President, aye. We have just approved the material revision for Assurance Learning Academy Charter School.
Thank you.
Well, we will We will now move on to item B, the public hearing for Aadusd Agua Dulce Charter School petition for renewal. I am going to open this hearing at, is that 8:40? Yes. 8:40 p.m. Larry, would you introduce us and give us a little framework as to what we can expect out of this hearing for people that haven't heard one before?
Okay, so thank you. And along with the timelines that are established under educational code, we had a petition submitted by Aadusd for the Agua Dulce Charter School. We waited the appropriate amount of time to allow for the hearing to occur this evening. This will be followed by a recommendation by staff at the next regularly scheduled board meeting. This evening, I will turn it over to Ms. Shay Patterson to introduce our presenters, and I'm sure that Ms. Patterson has shared with them that they have 15 minutes for the actual presentation, followed by 15 minutes of question and answer period by our trustees. If the trustees by majority vote choose to extend that time for the Q&A part, they're welcome to do so. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Patterson at this point.
Good evening. We have representing Aadusd Agua Dulce, we have Dawn Evanson. Dawn Evanson is the CEO and founder of Aadusd Agua Dulce, and she'll be introducing the remaining staff will be presenting tonight.
Good evening, Superintendent King, President Falsgraf, and the Acton Agua Dulce School Board. It was just a short time ago that Aadusd Agua Dulce was approved, and now we're here seeking renewal for this fabulous school. I'd like to introduce our talented renewal team of Amanda Fisher, Aadusd California Executive Director, the Aadusd Agua Dulce School Director, Lisa Latimer, and our Aadusd California Business Director, Kelly O'Brien. They're here to present for you, and when we get to questions, I'm happy to help field those also. Take it away, Amanda.
Thank you. And actually, Lisa is going to start first, if you could unmute her as well. And I'm not sure who's moving the slideshow along, but should I just say ding or next or something?
You can just stay next, Ms. Fisher, and we have Alejandro Alex. I'm sure you remember him. He's here.
I do. Great. So next, please, Alex. Alex, on slide 2, there's a video. Can it be played? Perfect.
My favorite thing about Aadusd Agua Dulce is learning. They make it fun, they make it interesting, and they make it a lot better.
I saw all of the project-based learning she was doing and how she was excelling and succeeding in that really made me realize I made the right decision, and that's what I tell people.
Welcome to Aadusd Agua Dulce, set apart by its large campus located in a beautiful natural setting, serving grades TK through 8. We value play-based learning and an outdoor classroom incorporation.
What is one word when you wake up in the morning and you think about going to school that comes to mind? What is it?
Energized.
Energized. And what about you?
Exciting.
Exciting.
We employ open concept floor plans for our classroom spaces. We believe in focusing on the whole child and promoting social and emotional growth, because education is about more than just high test scores. Aadusd Agua Dulce is also committed to incorporating technology and real-world experiences that bring classroom learning to life.
One of my favorite projects we did here was the baking one, where we became entrepreneurs and created our own business. We sold cupcakes or whatever dessert you wanted to and sell them and gain profit and how to split it up and how to.
Yeah, we talked about budgeting, and we had to actually write a proposal for a loan from our school director, and she could accept or deny our proposal, and if she denied it, we'd have to go back in and fix what we think could be better.
In our outdoor classroom, our learners' imaginations come to life. Wonderment, excitement, and exploration lead the way in the great outdoors as learners dive deep into nature. With the freedom to learn through play, students take risks that lead to outcomes, building grit and resilience.
We want our learners to walk onto campus experiencing a rich, engaging, and joyful environment. Play-based learning enables a child to engage in the flexible and higher-level thinking skills essential for the 21st century learner. These include processes of inquiry, problem-solving, evaluating, and creativity. Aadusd Agua Dulce values the decades of research that has been conducted on play. Neuroscientists have found that play activates the brain in meaningful ways that rote memorization, worksheets, and traditional techniques do not. Project-based learning and play-based learning actually go hand in hand. Both provide learners with learning that is rich, meaningful, engaging, and adds a personal connection to their academic experience. This helps with greater retention of content knowledge.
As part of Aadusd Agua Dulce's focus on project-based education, learner-led projects such as repurposing old technology provide opportunities to bring learning to life.
Yeah, so last summer we went to this amazing conference. It was Differentiated Learning Conference, and one of the sessions I went to was all about the NGSS science and how we can bring a lot of engineering into the classroom. And I chose donated old electronics that they would focus on, and then they looked at it, made observations. They're thinking about a description. What could it be? They're just thinking right now, asking questions. I didn't tell them what each electronic was. They're kind of exploring that as they go.
In May 2020, the SoCal Honda dealers surprised outdoor classroom facilitator Aiden Bybee with a delivery of items for her outdoor classroom, including plants, potting soil, gardening tools, plus other classroom materials. She was honored for going above and beyond in the midst of distance learning. Through Aadusd's partnership with Dream Up, learners have had the opportunity to work in teams and launch research projects to the International Space Station. In our makery, learners work hands-on with power tools, robotics, an art lab, and more. Our classrooms incorporate smart boards, project-based learning, direct instruction, access to technology, class pets, outdoor components, and lots of imagination.
So iLead Aguadulce is a research-based model with a focus set on project-based learning, social and emotional learning, and play-based learning, all of which are highly engaging, fosters deeper learning, improves academic outcomes because our learners are engaged in higher-level thinking processes, and they inspire a connection to academic and real-world experiences. Next. Thank you. This is an implementation timeline for our high school. Because of the strong sense of community that has been built, we have decided to grow organically 1 grade level per year as our current learners progress. This decision was made to continue the strong relationships of the staff, learners, and the community of Acton Agua Dulce, keeping in mind the credentialing requirements set by California Commission on Teacher Credentialing and ensuring our learners meet high school graduation requirements. As we have been approved as a TK through 12th grade span school, this comes with a plethora of benefits. First, it helps to cut out those sometimes difficult transitions to middle and high school during the biggest developmental periods of a child's life. It maintains the community culture of the school, which is a main focus on our campus. It creates leadership opportunities that foster strong role modeling and effective peer mentoring while building empathy, which benefits all learners. Our adults create personal and long-lasting relationships, which provides for a continuous flow where they can support each other to best meet the needs of the child. We can go back, I'm sorry. Thank you. We are currently in the developing stages of the career technical education pathways that we will offer. We are going to ensure that these pathways not only honors the interests of the learners, but the community as well. As we want to emphasize the real world and give relevant experiences, our focus in part will be on agriculture and agricultural business. The E&I LEAD stands for entrepreneurial development, and this aligns with our philosophy and allows for creativity and innovation. Lastly, we will be offering the International Baccalaureate program for all 11th and 12th grade learners. The IB program has a deeply rigorous curriculum, develops global-minded citizens, increases college readiness, and provides a personal engagement on an increasingly globalized, rapidly changing world. We are a highly individualized program, and with that comes developing a program for each learner, along with parents and a facilitator, to create an individualized learning plan. After the initial assessment data is analyzed, a personal meeting takes place with the parent, facilitator, and learner, where the learner sets both academic and social and emotional goals, which are monitored throughout the year. This allows for constant reflection and makes the learner a partner in his or her education. We are also an inclusive model, which is incredibly important. We have a push-in model system where the special education learners remain in the general education classroom. This benefits all children academically and socially by building empathy and resourcefulness. It creates an environment where everyone has the opportunity to flourish and makes all children feel valued, truly a part of the school community, and prepares them for an inclusive life. The enrollment over the last 2 years has shown growth. We started in 2018 with 119 learners serving grades TK through 6, and each year we grew a grade level and currently serve 283 learners in TK through 8. And we are focusing our outreach efforts in the Santa Clarita and Antelope Valley areas. The following chart shows our enrollment trends. While our number of English learners has relatively stayed the same, our number of students served with disabilities and socioeconomically disadvantaged has increased. We currently serve 35 learners with disabilities in a variety of categories, including autism, other health impaired, specific learning disability, and speech and language impaired, with 5 more learners pending.
So this is the renewal criteria. As all of you know, on July 1 of 2020, AB 1505 was adopted, and this provided a pretty substantial update to the renewal criteria. The state has sought to better align the charter renewal with the new state dashboard. So the California dashboard goes beyond test scores alone to provide a more complete picture of how schools and districts are meeting the needs of students. The result of this effort is a 3-tiered process, a high, mid, and low. And iLead Agua Dulce is designated by the state to fall into the mid-track based on their dashboard. However, when you see the next slide, we have no color. So our dashboard is all gray with no color because we only have 1 year of testing. So the only year we have to report out to you was our very first year, which was 2018 because of the pandemic last year, 2018-19, because of the pandemic last year. So there's no comparison data. The only thing we can show you here is that we have met the standards in all of our local indicators. Next. So we did a little predictor for what it would look like. So based on the CalPADS data that we reported at the end of the year, we had chronic absenteeism our first year of 16.7%. So we really focused on this and continue to focus on this to try to drop it. So it declined to 13.63%, which is down 3%. So we would have fallen in the yellow color for chronic absenteeism. Next. When we did the predictor for our dashboard on suspension rate, we have a very low suspension rate. It had a negative 0.6% decline, but we are already in the very low status level, so our color would have been blue. And these are our CAS ELA scores. And again, this is from the very first year they opened with only 58 students testing. So if we look in the 3rd grade level, we had 42% of our students were at met or exceeded. 4th grade, we had 25% of our students that had met or exceeded. And in 5th grade, we only had 13 students test, and we were at 46% of our students who met or exceeded. We did see that 72% of our students did have an increase in their scale score. Next. This is math, again, for that same first year of 58 kids. So in 3rd grade, there was 19 students, and 42% of them were at met or exceeded. For 4th grade, 20 kids was 20% had met or exceeded. And with 13 students in 5th grade, 8% had met or exceeded. Again, looking at that cohort, 76% of them did make gains in their skill score. With all of these students being so new to us and coming in from a variety of schools, we were really a year of trying to fill in the gaps and do those foundational skills that they were missing. So we're going to look at some other data that we have that may show better the growth over time. So next, please. So this is a nationally normed assessment we use. It's the NWEA MAP. And much like the CAS test produces a scale score, the MAP produces what's called a RIT. And so if we look at this chart, and we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner with the kindergarten in the fall of 2018, when those students that were with us first tested, their RIT score was 135. As you go across the year, you can see that they had growth from 144 to 150, down to the 1st grade. Now they're at 153, all the way to the end of last year, they were at 184. And as we know, typically there is some regression over summer. So this year in fall, when they tested, they were at 176. This percentage over here on the far side tells the total growth from the time they started with the cohort started with us until currently. So they've made 30.27% growth. And you can follow all of those lines across, but in the interest of time, you can see over on that far side that every cohort has made growth. And that's in the area of reading. Next, please.
Excuse me, but your time is done.
Okay.
And in the interest of fairness to everybody else who's been in here, I would suggest that you keep your slides ready. I'm sure there's going to be questions. The rest of this, we have a question that I need to ask your speakers. I'm going to tell you what I would do if I were them. I might want to hear the rest of what the board has to say before I would make my comments. If that's what your speakers want to do, that's great. If not, they're welcome to speak now. So, speakers, do you have any preference? Would you like to talk to the board now before we start asking your petitioner questions? I have a Dr. Tina Diem. Bring her up for a second, please. Let's move through these. Yeah, we're looking for last names. Yeah. Tina.
Hi, this is Tina.
Tina, would you like to make your comments now or wait till after the board has gone through their questions?
Either way is perfectly fine with me.
That would be your choice, not mine.
Oh, okay. I would love to see the rest of the presentation if that's possible.
Wonderful. You won't see the rest of the presentation where they've exceeded their time limit. So you'll, again, you can either speak now or wait till we're done and then I'll call you back in. Is that what you prefer to do?
Oh, I see. Okay. I guess I would prefer to speak now because my kiddos are sitting here and the little one needs to go to bed.
Okay, then please tell us what you think, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. So I just want to say that we're a long-term IB family, and we really thank you all for your support during these last 3 years that we've been at IB Aadusd. Our eldest, Samantha, she attended SCBI from kindergarten through 5th grade, and the younger one, Jordan, was there from kindergarten through 3rd grade. We are absolute believers in the vision and mission of the IB education system, and we're glad that a growing number of families had the opportunity to enroll at SCBI, but we did miss the small school that we started with there. When we heard that Mrs. Latimer was coming to open the new campus at Aadusd, we visited and we made the decision to join her. And it did not take us long to know that we made the 100% correct choice there. We cherish our Aadusd school community and have been so grateful to be a part of the process of Mrs. Latimer bringing to fruition so much of her education vision of play, voice and choice, and student leadership. Even before the pandemic, our kids complained that breaks were too long. And within days of the last school year ending, my 13-year-old asked me to help her research the education standards for social studies because she was so eager to know what she would get to learn starting this fall. I wish that all middle schoolers felt this way about school. Partly it's just these girls as individuals, but we also know that they wouldn't feel this way about school if they were attending just any other campus. Aadusd Charter School is a very special and unique site that's run by amazing educators and is filled with the heart of a beautiful school community. And we want to thank you for considering the renewal of our charter. As co-chair of I-Support, which is our school's parent-staff partnership organization, I promise that we at Aadusd Charter School will continue to provide a singular yet essential education opportunity while enriching the Acton Aadusd community for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tina. Let's pull up Nicole Higdon, please.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Glad to see you're here. Please tell us what you feel, or you can choose to wait till the end.
I'll follow Tina. I'll go ahead now.
Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, members of the board, district, and community members. My name is Nicole. I'm an Aadusd resident and parent of 2 children who attend Aadusd. I was also one of the moms who came to you 3 years ago asking you to give Ailey a chance when Albert Einstein closed. I wanted to speak tonight to tell you that I am overjoyed this school is available in our small town of Aadusd. This school is run by a site director who is passionate about what she does, and that is felt throughout the campus. The facilitators are encouraging, patient, and kind. This school was built on a love for educating children and encouraging them to explore, create, and think outside the box. The culture and mindset is felt throughout the campus, and it's like nothing I've experienced before. Honestly, so much so that I was inspired to apply for the front office position when it became available because I wanted to be on the team. In an age where screens and social media are everywhere, our school is teaching communication, collaboration, public speaking, leadership roles, encouraging play, encouraging being outdoors, teaching the 7 habits of happy kids, evaluating character lab traits, and so many more valuable elements that I truly believe will help our children to be effective communicators and innovative in their workforce when they're adults. The academics are progressive and collaborative, and the culture is beautiful. The kids feel happy and safe, and they genuinely enjoy being there. This school is more than just a school, it's become part of our community. iLead participates in all the local parades and the country fairs. When the kids see their site director and facilitators running the cakewalk at the fair or riding the floats that they all built together in our parade, the kids feel like they belong and they're a part of something. These aren't just teachers and administrators teaching classes and running a school. They're making relationships and creating memories. When you move to a small town and you want to raise your kids in this rural, loving environment, iLead Agua Dulce is what you hope you find. I want to thank you for giving iLead the chance 3 years ago, and I truly hope you continue to do so. If not for the reasons I've mentioned right now, I hope for the reasons that I came to you with 3 years ago, which were and I think that having iLead and Meadowlark and High Desert within our community provides that for all of our families. I want to thank you for your time and support this far.
Thank you very much. Let's move along to Sue Ellen Kwan.
Yes.
Hi. Good evening. Would you like to talk to us now or after the discussion?
Love to talk to you right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. I want to say 3 years ago, I stood at my first Acton Agua Dulce school board meeting, and I told you that as a kid, I knew of your community because of Vasquez Rocks, and that you had a really cool McDonald's, because it looked like it's from a country western. And that was what I saw it as. I also told you that I had 43 kids. You were all pretty astounded at me and shocked. And I then added that although none of these kids were biologically mine, I considered each one of these kids mine because I was their teacher. Our school was closing, Albert Einstein, and unfortunately due to reasons that were out of my control. Some teachers might have given up and moved on. I did not. Instead, I decided that even though I didn't know where I would be teaching in the fall, one thing I could do was look out for my students. I wanted them to have a voice, and that voice was mine. That's why I attended your board meeting 3 years ago and asked if you could please authorize for iLead to be a charter at our district. And I want to thank you for authorizing that because the opportunity you have given my learners has been instrumental. I didn't know what my future was. I didn't even have a job. And then I left that board meeting and suddenly I did have a job at iLead. I couldn't believe it. And I have to say that I've had the unique opportunity of being able to be a teacher at Albert Einstein Academy and iLead. I've seen how those students have grown so much in these last 3 years. They went from being students to learners, and I went from being a teacher to facilitator. There were some growing pains. I had to learn what it was like going from talking from a classroom and teaching from a book to sitting on the sidelines sometimes and letting my learners be the guide so that way they could take the lead. My learners had to learn to take a hands-on learning approach, but through it, we gained grit, stamina, and growth mindset. If you talk to any of my past learners, they can quote the 7 habits to you, and if they get in an argument on the playground, they'll say, let's think of a win-win. Not many teachers have had the opportunity I've had. Students who might have been before labeled as something, at iLead they are learners, and we see them as a whole child. Shortly after I started at iLead, I found out that my induction program that my previous school was paying for did not, and I was heartbroken. iLead stepped up, and they helped me pay for my induction program. iLead is family. We might have changed a few faces who might be facilitators, but we still stay connected. We have switched because of the pandemic, but you know what? We've also grown from it. Within 3 days, we were back to online teaching. I have seen our kids grow. We might have had a few hiccups, just like any other school, but with us, every single time we work to resolve it. I want to thank the board for supporting our school, coming to my class, and all the different things they've done, especially for the opportunity to see my students who I taught from kinder to first grade become fourth graders, who are now learners that have such growth mindset. I'm so happy for them, and I hope that you renew our charter so that way I can continue to be able to see them grow and see where they can succeed too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue Ellen.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you about that extra 15 seconds on Monday.
Okay, sorry. I'll apologize then.
I just keep hitting the button on you now, see? Sarah Tate, please come up.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so I am Sarah Tate. I am a 35-year resident of Agua Dulce. I actually attended Agua Dulce Elementary, kindergarten through 6th grade. So every time I walk on that campus, I get deja vu. My son, Vincent, he is a now 2nd grader there, and he was enrolled in a traditional public school when he first started kindergarten. And I remember thinking, this is a new school, I'll give it a year, see how it goes, and then, make the transition, because Eileen is actually closer to our home. Well, 6 weeks into traditional public school, he was struggling big time. And there happened to be a parent meeting. I attended it. I walked away. I walked from it, tears in my eyes, knowing that this is where my son needs to go. I pulled him out the next day, and we enrolled him 2 days later. And honestly, almost immediately, we could see the difference in him. He was bright-eyed. He wanted to go to school. He was engaged. There was no fighting, pulling him out of bed in the morning. And I forgot to say, I have 4 older children that are all adults now. They went through traditional school, and they were all great students, but I just remember that it was a struggle. And so this is where I found such a difference with iLead, is that Vincent loves going to school. And the part that I love the most is that they embrace and encourage the strengths of our students and learners, and they just really encourage those kids. And I love their philosophy. I'm looking at my notes. It's such a difference, and I really, really hope that you consider a renewal. The staff, the faculty, the facilitators have just been incredible, and the energy and the enthusiasm. School is so much fun, and they truly have become like family to us and have been one of the biggest blessings in my son's life. So I'm very, very thankful. That's all.
Thank you very much. And you also gained back Stu Ellen's time. Thank you for that. It looks like we're moving on to the board now. I'd like to start with Mr. Fox.
Yeah, I have no specific questions for the presenters. I will look at the entire package. I realize you didn't get through it. I appreciate the fact that you addressed your student body makeup. It's supposed to reflect the community within it, the community where it's located, and so it'll be interesting to see how those statistics line up against the rest of the district. I do appreciate the way that you dispositioned the test scores by showing the increases, notwithstanding the absolute values being a little bit low. And so I'll see what our staff's assessment of that is. I've always been, I voted, I'm the only board member who was on the board at the time. I voted in support of the Einstein School the first time round. I'm going to go ahead and let you all see me. Sorry about that. I did not vote for the second Einstein charter petition because I didn't think it would make it. It didn't. I'm a little bit surprised or concerned that this charter petition includes high school. I don't think, frankly, that the facility is appropriate for high schoolers. And although I'm fully in support and believe that a community this size can support 2 elementary schools, even squeaking a little bit into middle school, I'm having trouble, and I'll wait to see what staff says, but what our projections are that that high school plan will work. It didn't work with Einstein either. So a little bit shocked at that. Don't think the facility's right for it. Don't know that it will actually make it. Aside from that, you know, this would be much easier for me. I've always wanted to keep that school open and have children in it, and I voted that way twice. And also to give people a choice, certainly in the lower grade levels, where an aggregate community between Acton and Agua Dulce this size could support 2 schools. So we'll have to see, but that's, I mean, I'm letting you know what I heard tonight. That's all my comments.
Thank you, Mike. Brandon.
Hey everyone, first off, thank you for the presentation. I'm a little bummed we didn't get all the way through, but obviously time concerns are always a difficult thing, so I do understand that. Thank you for the very, very detailed 450-page charter petition. That it was a good read. Obviously, it is difficult with COVID and everything to have statistics and test scores because everything got a wrench thrown in it. And I completely understand that, so thank you for presenting your cohort growth. That's always great to see, especially with a school that only started 3 years ago. Being able to see the first class going all the way through and each accreditation process is fantastic. I saw that you guys were pushing for accreditation, or WASC accreditation for 8th grade. I really hope that goes through. Best of luck to you guys there. Beyond that, my biggest question right now, and obviously with a lot of this, as my fellow board member, Mr. Fox, said, I'm waiting for the staff recommendation on a lot of it, but one of my biggest questions with the uncertainty of COVID, I was looking at the financials a little bit. What is your current reserve level?
Kelly, do you want to jump in on the reserve level? Is Kelly Frisha O'Brien muted? Can we unmute her?
Okay, sure. So we have a fund balance for Agua Dulce of over 200,000, which is just around 10% of the operating expenditures. And each year, Ms. Latimer's done a great job at very carefully and conservatively monitoring her budget, and we project the required reserve each year as well.
Awesome. I'm obviously in a normal year, I'm worried about reserves in the first place, but especially with COVID, everything is kind of a no one knows what's going on with funding thing. So that is really good to hear. Awesome. Beyond that, it's great to see the Helpful Honda guys showing up and giving you guys a hand there. That was a cool ad. I wish you guys the best and thank you so much.
Tim.
I just have a couple of questions. I'm going to be looking at it in greater detail. I appreciate the opportunity. I haven't finished it yet. A couple of focus questions. So currently, all your students are distance learning?
Yes.
Because your slides were showing visuals that they were in classrooms, and that's not the case. That's just where you will be once the pandemic is gone, like the rest of us will all get back into the classrooms. So you've had no on-site, on-campus presentation by outside groups with students in the pandemic?
We have small cohorts of special ed. Actually, we're only seeing one-on-one special ed right now. So we do have the end of our presentation, Mr. Jorgensen, was all of this. But phase 1 is bringing back SPED, EL, and assessment. So we've been bringing back one-to-one SPED and assessments to start taking place. Our second phase is going to be bringing back students that aren't being able to access distance learning in a small cohort. We're not there yet, we're assessing. And then the third phase is the K2 waiver. So we just submitted this week for the K2 waiver in hopes that by second semester that we'll be able to implement that.
Okay, thank you. Then I want to echo the same concerns with regards to your expansion regarding adding a year every year of operation. My time on the campus, I think okay, maybe 8th grade is going to be pushing the envelope. I have a lot of concerns about high school because the parameters, the physical requirements, the larger kids, everything's got to be bigger than breast. I just don't see. I'll have to look at the details on that because I think that I think we can support the iLead as in TK through 6, 7, but when we start kind of pushing into the 8th grade, I start getting a little concerned about that. Yeah, I'll just look at it. I only saw bits and pieces of it. I saw some of your assessments, some of your growth going through there. I'll be paying attention to the diversity of your student population. You said you were promoting to Santa Clarita and other areas of Antelope Valley coming into the community. So with all that comes in, that it starts impacting the local community on transportation and all that kind of thing. So I'll be kind of looking through that in detail as I go through your proposal. I thank you for coming tonight. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. It's good to see you again, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wish we could have seen the rest of the presentation. I did look at a little bit of the charter, and I just this is mostly for our staff to look into. And if I don't know, maybe you addressed it in the PowerPoint and you didn't get to it because I see you only got to 17 out of 31 slides. You know, when you're presenting to the board, it would be great if you guys could manage your time a little bit better so that we could really see what you're offering. And so our public could see that as well. A few things that I like our staff to look at and for you to possibly address is I looked at ELD, and I know you have a small percentage, 4%, which I don't know, like 11 students or something, but you say that you're growing. And so I'm not really seeing how you're providing designated ELD for your students. I see you gloss over it in the petition, but I don't really, in your paperwork, but I don't really see how you're really providing that in a schedule. And I did look at your schedule and see minutes, but I don't see that you actually have designated ELD included. And also with your MTSS, I'd like, you know, you talk about your ILPs, and I'd like to see how you connect that to MTSS when students aren't being successful. You talked earlier, Amanda, about gaps and how we can help with that. In it, I see that you address MTSS, but I see it very much as kind of like just a basic definition of MTSS and the jargon, but I don't really see what you're doing for your students and specifically addressing MTSS for iLead. I see more or less sort of like a definition. And you talk, for example, you talk about a universal screener and you talk about the tiers, but you don't really say what you do in your program. So I'd like to kind of see a little bit more of that to make sure that, especially with distance learning and how, you know, they talk about learning loss and so forth, how this is going to play a role. So I think that would be really important for us to have a better understanding in that area. Other than that, I want to thank your parents. I know parents, it's not easy coming and addressing a board. It's kind of makes everyone a little nervous, but we really appreciate you. And it looks like you're doing some I don't want to say you're not doing fantastic things. I know you are. Your students seem happy and engaged. But really just going back to the time management, I mean, we're seeing a great commercial and great that, but it's not where we are right now. So I'd like to have had more time to get through what you're actually doing at iLead. So best of luck to you guys, because I know you do great things and you try your best to engage the community and do great projects. So I do appreciate that very much. So thank you so much.
Thank you. As a matter of business, board, I'm going to ask that you support me in extending the time another 15 minutes. I have a number of questions. We have 4 minutes and 36 seconds left. I'm going to propose that we extend this to let's add on another 15 minutes. I doubt that we'll use it, but we may have circle backs by the time we're done. Can I get a motion for that, please?
This is Brandon, so moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Tim seconds.
Thank you. Call the question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brian Roque, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4, Board President, aye. We're going to extend the questioning period. I would suggest that you get Dawn Ivinson ready for me. Right now, go back to Amanda. Amanda, would you show me slide 17, please, and summarize it quickly? Can we minimize that window there?
Yeah, this shows that the average RIT score for 2018-19 was 186. Those same students taking it a year later, or the group taking it a year later, the average RIT score was 202, showing growth from year 1 to year 2. And it also shows that kids who were with us for 2 years, that 89% of them made growth in their RIT scores.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Could you please summarize my next question is, could you please summarize slide 18 for me, please?
Slide 18 is the same as slide 16, and you just follow the yellow cohorts again, and it tells about growth over time, with cohort growth being, looking at the side, 34.88% for that kinder, the first cohort, and every grade level you can see grew.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to show me about slide 19? I think you see what's happening here now, right?
Yep, 19 is the same thing. It shows the RIT score that the first year was average at 186. The second year it was at 204, and 89% of our students made growth if they were with us for 2 years. The following one is, we don't only value academic, we also value social emotional. So on our report cards, what we call reports of progress, we evaluate kids in all of these areas: academic engagement, grit, purpose. There's questions and guidelines that go with them, and you can see our kids are growing year after year. Another nationally normed, actually globally normed assessment we use is the Gallup poll: engagement, career and financial literacy, hope, as well as entrepreneurial. And all of the blue shows the areas that I Lead Agua Dulce surpasses the US overall. This is Learner Spotlights. It's 2 of our 8th grade learners and the amazing leadership things that they've done. And then one of them is a 5th grade learner who started the Inspiration Generation to promote kindness and helping others. This is a financial snapshot, and as we were asking about the reserve levels, if you go to the bottom, we're able to maintain the reserve levels for every single year outgoing for 5 years. This is the distance, and I don't know if Mr. Falsgraf, I don't know if you would like me to get into this, but we did include our distance learning plan, just what we've done and how we're phasing it back in. I'm happy to go through it, but it's not as much included in the petition. It was just for information purposes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So this is what our day looks like now. This is the phases I was talking about, Mr. Jorgensen. And these are all the things that we continue to do. I think the highlight here is that we had our visit from the Los Angeles Department of Public Health the other day, and he thought we'd done such a great job, he had no recommendations. And lastly, this is a list of all of the things that we are doing and continue to do in order to improve our scores in ELA and math. And this is what we're doing in all academic areas: data-driven instruction, small groups, polling groups, virtual small groups, continued professional learning, and then what we do in order for social emotional growth. Every day our kids check in for morning meeting and advisory. We have weekly personal check-ins with facilitators for every student. We don't want them to get lost, and we're big about building community and making people feel connected. And this is a quote from one of our wonderful parents.
Thank you very much for answering that question. Dawn, are you ready to party?
I'm ready.
All right. While the public is doing their popcorn, we'll remember that Dawn was the first one that made it through my typical questions about charters, and thank you for helping the other charters understand the importance of honesty and candor, especially at the end when you said the last time, "Is that all you have for me, Fallsgraf?" Well, it's taken me 3.5 years. The answer was no. Okay, Dawn, these are simple yes or no things. You'll recall that I'm the bad guy that instead of giving you 5 years would only, I just said you're only going to get 3.
Yes.
And the concerns I had back then were, are you going to provide a significant educational benefit? Have you done that?
Yes.
Have you shown me that you could maintain a fiscal stability in an environment that typically would only command an ADA of 150 or less?
Absolutely yes.
Did you meet your enrollment projections?
Yes.
How many cutbacks have you had in 3 years that caused you program diminishment in the interest of funding top-heavy positions?
No. You said yes or no.
I understand what that means clearly. Thank you for trying to teach me, though. Come on, you're not doing well here with me. Let's go. I'm used to more from you than this. Let's say this. The real issue that you're there, and I want to remind everybody, that last question was significant because if you do not have the, I call it corporate capacity or organizational depth is kind of what I was looking at. You know that education and diversity of program goes out the window when cost starts to become an issue. And that is what happened over there. There were 2 prior failures to be able to maintain fiscal stability, one from a previous charter and one from another one. And I think that we're able to honestly look at this right now and look at numbers and say, hey, you know what? This either worked or not. And I think people are smart enough to look at that. But here's the reason charters exist. Do you reach kids that you don't think are reached by other people?
Yes.
Who do you force to come to your school?
We don't have to force anyone. The kids who come want to be there.
What an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tell me what you see. Now we're getting into the more complicated questions that might involve three-word answers. You know about the 1505 and 1507 to 1507 assembly bills, and I think you understand what those might have been intended to do.
Yes.
Do you see any short-term or long-term implications from those that would debilitate your program?
I think that our program is strong enough to make it through anything. We have, like you said, a lot of organizational capacity, and we have families who really, truly are engaged in our organization and in their schools, and I think that makes a huge difference. I do think, though, that it's could be crippling to the charter school movement.
Okay. You are aware that this board can now, through the 1505 Assembly Bill, consider the fiscal impact of your school on our budget, including this idea that you're stealing our ADA. You're aware of that, correct? A board member could choose to, for nothing else, make that the reason they deny your renewal. You're aware of that.
I am aware.
And I hope that if that were the case, they would tell you that.
Yes.
Do you have any conflict of interest you want to tell me about with regards to how your petition is represented?
No. I think that at one point we shared the same lawyer firm, but we have a memorandum of understanding that you guys have one partner and we have another. Ours is primarily for special education only.
And it's my understanding that you revealed that when you made your submittal.
Yes.
Honesty, what a concept. Let me ask you this. I want to talk about me personally.
Okay.
Would you say that I personally have been involved in coming to your campuses and being involved in your programs enough for my own eyes? Have I been engaged enough to make a competent decision about your charter, an objective one that's based on performance and things other than emotions and feelings?
Yes, I believe that you have. You've been.
You are forced to leave iLead to attend another school. What will you tell the parent? I know these are very unorthodox questions, but that just came up.
I'm not exactly sure. Could you restate your question?
So, in other words, let's say I don't feel that you can run higher grades there. What are you going to tell the parents that have chosen your educational track and would expect that it would continue? What would you tell those parents?
Then I'm really sorry, because we do have the capacity to run a high-functioning, non-traditional high school program. We've done it at our other schools. We have experience in that area, and this is something that I know they are very much looking forward to. So my hope is that that is not what we have to say.
Well, if there's any concerns, then I hope you'll be able to show us what that looks like if there are any concerns.
Absolutely, would be happy to do that.
I think that in addition to your petition being online, it's been online since the submittal, and this is the district staff. If you care to, I would hope that you would put your entire slideshow ready for view to the public of anyone who wants to look at it on the district website. Can you do that? Is there anything else you feel I should scathe you about this evening?
No, I just would like you to pronounce my last name.
Dawn. Me, Dawn? Is that all you got for me, Dawn?
Yes, I had a very easy question for you. I'm so sorry that you couldn't fulfill it, but thank you.
Usually say things like that after the vote, Dawn. Board members, is there anything else that you would like to run back through? Let's start with Mike. We've got 8.5 minutes. Mike?
No.
Brandon?
Nothing on my end.
Jim?
No, nothing.
Okay, Callie, it's party time. Go.
I don't have anything.
Wonderful, we're done. Larry, close us out, please.
Okay, appreciate your time. Want to thank the staff from iLead Aadusd that presented this evening, and the parents, and Ms. Patterson, thank you for your assistance in facilitating tonight's hearing. Appreciate that, and Ms. David for checking into all the financials as well. So that concludes my comments, Mr. President.
We will conclude this hearing at 9:37 p.m. Wonderful. Moving along. Learning Continuity Plan Review Letter from Los Angeles County Office of Education. I referenced that in my board member comments. This is a discussion. I don't see it to be an action item. So Larry, please tell us what you have to tell us.
Sure. So just as a reminder and for public edification, the board adopted our draft for the Learning Continuity Plan. We submitted that in a timely manner to the Los Angeles County Office of Education. In a timely manner, they returned it with their comments in this letter that you see attached, and they've made recommendations here. I know our board trustees have reviewed this, but again, for public edification, they've made recommendations in regard to the distance learning program section, describing how the LEA, which is the local education agency, which is us, Acton-Aadusd Unified School District, will describe in more detail how they'll do things like measure the time value of work completed by students. Pupil learning loss section, they asked for a couple of things there. What kind of tools, what frequency will we assess student learning? Action tables, it asks for another piece there, and to be sure that we include all types of learners, including English learners, foster youth, and others. Increased or improved services sections. It has a couple suggestions there, recommendations, again, with regard to the LEA, and to explain, for example, in the response to COVID-19 pandemic, how the LEA considered the needs, conditions, or circumstances of its unduplicated pupils, which is, again, those on free reduced lunch, foster youth, and our EL population, and homeless. So the staff will go through the recommendations, submit a final draft to the county. We do want their support as we move through the process of submitting our learning continuity plan. And if the board has specific questions, both Ms. David and Ms. Shaw are on the line to help answer any questions you may have.
Board, do you have anything you want to throw in on this?
No, nothing from Fox.
It's Brandon.
No
Nothing from me.
Okay, with regard to the learning continuity plan, I would hope that you would be able to make this available to anybody that wants to see it. And if there are updates that are going to go to LACO, please share those with the board as they occur. Let's talk now. There's no action on that. Just informational items. So we're going to D, facility use, packet revision, second read. There were some comments about facility use, and this, my understanding is this is framed out about yeah, just facility use and updates. Larry, please give us any introduction you need to.
Sure. So again, this just gives the board an opportunity for a second read. So item E is the actual taking action of it. Ms. David helped put this together, and so she's on the line if there's any more specific questions than what we've already addressed. But again, this is industry standard protocol that we've instituted and upgraded our policies and procedures on both the facility use as well as the location filming use packet, which we'll discuss shortly.
Okay, before we go into the action item, board, do you have any questions about the read?
Mr. King, any changes relative to the first read?
None.
Thank you.
No one else? Wonderful. Let's move into item E. This is an action item. Do I have a motion for the facility use packet revision approval?
I'll move it in. This is Mike Fox.
I'll second, Kelly Jensen.
Any discussion?
I just have one little question or comment, because I know there was some concerns with filming and COVID, and just making sure at this time we don't have anyone scheduled for filming. This is just simply looking at our packet, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. No, this is not to do with any specific request. There's been no request at this time, and both of these are just industry standard policies and protocols that we're aligning to be current.
Okay, so we're going to discuss the filming one in just a second, but in terms of facility use packet, board member Jensen, Vice President Jensen's point, this is about the use of the facility, which could be filming, could be any number of things, but there's nothing being pushed along here to benefit any known thing or anything like that. It's just an update of policy to be best practice. That said, let's call this to question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brandon Roque, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4 ayes, Board President aye, 5-0. The facility use packet revision has been approved. Moving on, this is a discussion item which will be followed by a vote. and it is the location filming use packet revision. I'll say that there was some input from the public about this at the last meeting, as well as many questions as to what this meant, both in terms of policy and if there were anything looming on the horizon. I recall that I suggested that there is always input to the site from any contact from filming people or whatever to the district office before things are approved at the site. Board members, any discussion on this? And Larry, do you have anything you want to add? I think beginning with Mike's question, the last one, has anything been changed and updated since the first read?
No, it is not.
Okay, board, you got anything you want to ask now?
Nothing for Mike.
Nothing for me.
Tim, nothing.
I don't have anything because I jumped a little too soon last time, so that was my question about.
Okay, no, I mean, these go hand in hand. I mean, if you're going to go inside the school and shoot, that's a facility use agreement too.
Yeah, just we addressed it. We have some comments, and I just wanted to be clear.
That said, do I have a motion for the location filming use packet revision?
So moved, Mike Fox.
Brandon Roque, second.
Call the question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brandon, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board 4 ayes, board present aye, 5-0. The location filming use packet revision has been approved. Moving on, let's go to future agenda items. Larry?
Staff has nothing new to recommend, and we are in progress on the items that are on here. We're well aware of them and prepared to present them as they come up.
Let's make sure, please, that the charter and fiscal impact study of November 19th is amply posted on the district. I also would like to make sure that the request I've made from iLead and their slideshow and everything is posted to the district should they choose to provide that. So we're ready to have an informed discussion, especially from the public. Nothing else to add, board?
Mr. Falls Rep, if I could, I'd like to add one thing.
Yes.
So this one wouldn't be really pressing, but if possible, I want to see if we can add something to the public comments recognition and reports, specifically looking at recognizing teachers that are retiring. I know obviously recently with COVID, it's been up in the air and we've had to deal with a lot of things. But if we can make that more of a standard for just any of our teachers going out, just to say a thank you kind of a thing.
Or do you support that? I'll second that.
Of course. And that can be extended to the two people who are leaving us that we learned about tonight. A waiver.
Exactly.
Wonderful. We have what we need there. Larry, I think this is framed out by what the typical policy is for what type of recognition comes. I know where I work, you got to do 20 years before city council has you in their meeting. That means nothing to here, but let's just take a look at what the policy is and make this something that can be embedded in stone regardless of what is going on in the pandemic of the week. Okay, so a calendar, we have a November 19th, 2020 special board meeting, the December 10th, 2020 regular board meeting, and that one, the 10th, barring any odd circumstances, you will see the seating of your board at that point and assignment of officers. Does anyone have a conflict?
Mr. President, I have a conflict with December 10th. At this time, I will not be attending the board meeting.
Okay, looks like I'll be the president for the next 10 years then. Next, I like that. Think about that one, Kelly, would you?
I'm expecting lots of emails tomorrow asking me to please rescind my plans. Just kidding.
I suggest you're here for the first little bit at least. They have a thing called a telephone.
I can't promise that, Mr. President.
I'm promising I'm gonna be sitting down at the end of that meeting, and I will go back to being Ken. Okay, you've all been made aware. There is nothing to report out of closed session. And that leaves us to my favorite thing, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn at 10 or 9:49?
And Jorgensen moves.
I apologize, Ken, this is Brandon. Really quick, can I ask one thing? I neglected to ask it during iLead's petition, but I wanted to ask Dawn really quick if possible.
Okay, so hang on. Board, do we wish to open up the hearing again for iLead?
I'm okay, so subject to like a 3-minute Q&A for Mr. Roquet.
I'll second that. Can we pull up someone from iLead?
Awesome. So either Dawn or Lisa, you guys mentioned that at some of your other campuses you facilitated high school courses, and they're very similar in circumstance to Aadusd also. I wanted to see if possible if you could send information about how that was facilitated to the district. It's just for my own curiosity. I want to see how you guys facilitated it with a similar sized school and how you planned on doing it in this, and just relative theories. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so the public hearing for iLead was reopened at 9:49 p.m. and is closing at 9:51 p.m. for the record. Here we go. I will close this meeting by telling you that short of some type of odd set of circumstances, this will be the last regular board meeting I will serve this district as president of the board. I appreciate everyone's patience with my style, having proper process, but having some levity and a little bit of fun and keeping things civil has been my goal this year. You will notice that I'm often the one that will bring up sensitive subjects, sometimes things that I know the answer to already. But it's my goal and purpose for people to understand the district of the business, the policies of the district, and what this board is challenged with, and to know our role, that we're not the educational professionals, but we are certainly the people who are elected to be sitting up here to do the best that we can for our community with good conscience. I will tell you this, now that the election is over, no more votes are being cast or thrown in the bushes or whatever's happening. It's been my honor to serve with each and every one of you. You have brought something unique to the table, but the one thing that you bring to the table that's common is honesty and integrity, and it's been my pleasure to serve you for that. I will go back down in the end. I will no longer give oratories, but you can expect the quips and I will be the bookend that opens up discussion on items, so watch for that. And board, it's been my pleasure to know you and serve with you, and each one of you has unique talents that have greatly benefited the students of this district. Thank you. That concludes my Hallmark card for the year. This meeting is adjourned.
Don't we have to make a motion and vote to adjourn?
Go ahead and do that.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Falsgraf.
Okay, second.
Call the question.
Mike Fox, aye.
Brandon Roque, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Board President, I was actually attempting to retain presidency for another 2 weeks, but okay, this meeting's adjourned 5-0.
Good night, all. Everybody stay safe.
Have a great night.